what happens in a car crash. Now suppose you're in a crash and not wearing a seatbelt. Imagine what happens to you. Okay, you're probably flung in all directions. Now put your seatbelt on and imagine what happens to you now. Who stayed firmly in place and didn't move? Actually, if you didn't move, you're now feeling rather sore. Your insides have got squashed and your head snapped forward, and you might need a neck brace like this giraffe, because only your chest stayed in place. So what do we do to stop this? We make the seatbelt stretch as you move forward, which also lets your head move with your body. But wait, your speed was so high, your seatbelt stretched so much that your head went forward and hit the instrument panel. Now your nose is broken and some teeth have been knocked out. What can be done about this? What ideas do you have? The solution is to fit an airbag, and let's see one being tested. This is the view from inside a car that's going to crash into a solid wall. You can see the test dummy in the seat on the left. His head has that yellow and black sticker on it, and you can see the very specially constructed neck. The airbag is going to come out of the glove box area in front of him once the car hits the wall. You can see the head is nicely cushioned by the airbag. But do you want an airbag going off in all accidents? No, for low speed accidents, a seatbelt is all you need. So the car has to make a quick decision as to whether to use the airbag or not. Let's look at how we test a car to develop the seatbelts and airbags. The cars are pulled into a solid wall by a steel cable that runs underneath the car. In early days of testing, we actually had someone drive the cars into the wall and hop off at the last minute. Who would like to have that as their job? Here's a film clip from those times. You'll see a red arrow pointing to the man leaping from the car, and there's a man on the right waiting there to catch him. I slowed the film down at that point so you can catch sight of him. There he leaps off the running board and is safely caught, and the car continues on into the wall. Our test dummies come in all sizes, men, women and children, and they are repairable. Here's someone getting a new stomach. And here's Robo-Roo, a proper crash test dummy of a kangaroo that we used in developing our car's safety systems. Let's look in slow motion what happens in a crash. This car is about to go into the concrete wall. It has just 15 milliseconds to make the decision as to whether to use the airbag or not. And a millisecond, of course, is just 1/1000th of a second. At the moment the car hits the concrete wall, you'll see a timer start filling in that black rectangular box there. The car will have made the decision to use the airbag before the driver's head has even moved. In the next 5 milliseconds, the seatbelt's automatically tightened around you. A small explosive charge goes off at the base of the seatbelts that reels them in so that you are firmly in place. This idea was first developed for pilots of fighter jets who had to use their ejector seats, because you had to be really tightly strapped into your seat when you shot out of the cockpit. This is a cross-sectional view of a steering column and steering wheel of a car. On the left is the crash sensor. That sends an electrical current up the steering column to the yellow block called the inflator, which gets very hot very quickly, and it's next to the red block, which is made of sodium azide, and that explodes and generates nitrogen gas, which is what fills the airbag. What do you know about nitrogen gas? Is it safe? The answer, of course, is yes. 80% of the air we breathe is made of nitrogen. So, by 25 milliseconds, the airbag is already starting to inflate. By 35 milliseconds, the airbag is almost fully inflated and the driver's head hasn't even moved. By 75 milliseconds, the driver's head hits the airbag, but the airbag is already starting to deflate, otherwise it would be like your head hitting a brick wall. By 100 milliseconds, the head has already started to rebound. By 150 milliseconds, the head is back against the headrest, and you can see the imprint left in the airbag. The engineers then gather around to collect the data. You can see this car has been crushed right up to the front windscreen. Do you think that's a good design or not? It actually is a very, very good design because all the energy has been absorbed in crushing the front of the car, leaving the passenger compartment unscathed. In fact, you can even open and shut the doors after a crash like this. Now let's see it happen in real time. That's pretty fast, and I want you to watch it again. But you can see there's a big red traffic light on the screen. The instant the car hits the barrier, that red light will turn to green, and at that instant, when it turns green, I want you to blink. If you blinked when the light turned green, then you would have missed it, because all that happens in less than the time it takes to blink your eye. This is a 1929 car I restored. It's called a Graham Page. It has a really strong steel chassis. All the sheet metal is made of much thicker metal than you have on modern cars today. The front is all steel, a big strong steel bumper, none of the bits of plastic that again you get on modern cars. How do you think it would go if we did a crash test on a car like this? Some years ago, we took a 1928 Chevrolet, a car very similar to mine, and did a standard barrier test on it. Keep your eye on what happens to the driver. The problem was the chassis was so strong and stiff that all the energy got transmitted into the body where the driver was. So the three important things to protect you in a car crash are the seatbelts, the airbag, and the front of the car designed with a crumple zone to collapse and absorb energy, not be stiff and rigid like that 1928 Chevrolet. Modern cars are much safer.